Well, welcome everyone to this Michaelmas celebration from Mysteria, Mystica, Americana. And to open our event, if you have a candle, we would welcome you to light said candle, and we can take a moment to welcome ourselves into the space. And for that moment, as we do light this candle, that we have a thought that we are, in fact, not connecting through a screen before us, but that we are from our heart able to radiate and connect through the light within us directly to each other wherever we are in the world.
Beautiful. You want to say the name of the verse we're going to read?
This is verse 25 from the Calendar of the Soul by Rudolf Steiner. I'm going to read it in German, and then Ma here will read the English translation. Ich darf nun mir gehören und leuchtend breiten Innenlicht in Raumes und in Zeitens Finsternis. Zum Schlafer drängt natürlich Wesen, der Seele Tiefen sollen wachen, und wachend tragen Sonnengluten in kalte Winterfluten.
I can belong now to myself, and shining spread my inner light into the dark of space and time. All nature urges toward sleep. The depths of soul shall awaken and carry wakefully suns glowing into winter's icy flow.
Thank you, Ultraviolet and Hazel, and welcome, welcome everyone. I'm Lisa Dalton, and I normally am hailing from Fort Worth, Texas. Today I am in Sandy, Utah, near Salt Lake. And I would like to introduce you to our MA colleagues. So I'll start with Hazel. Hazel?
Hello, I am Hazel. I'm here in Chicago. Here's my daughter.
And Richard?
Hi, I'm Richard Cloud. I'm in Fort Worth, Texas.
Very good. And Ultra?
Hello, I'm Ultra. I'm in the other room in Chicago.
And Michael D.
Hi, everyone. I'm Michael, and I'm in Los Angeles.
And Dawson.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dawson McLeod, currently residing in Austin, Texas.
Beautiful. So we are here to bring you a presentation. And this time we are presenting ourselves as an ensemble here, and we are not presenting a slideshow. And so we hope that you enjoy that and participate, enjoy our lively presentation with you. Before we go any further, I'm going to invite Mr. Rose Cloud just to speak a little bit, as he is the Grand Master of the Mystica Americana.
Oh, thank you, Lisa. I appreciate everyone being here and sharing this space with us and celebrating this Michaelmas, this turn of the seasons. We're entering fall now. And when we first started planning this event, I was trying to decide what I would talk about this time on here. What could I say that really mattered to me and that might also matter to you? And I was confused and indecisive all the way up until just a few hours before this began, when some of our colleagues in Sweden had posted an anthroposophical walk a mile photo of them and several of our friends over there for the anthroposophical prison outreach. So they have this walkathon, which is walk a mile in our shoes, to draw attention to the prison outreach of the Anthroposophical Society, which sends information and books into prisons for inmates to provide a little bit of the light in the darkness. And when they sent me that photo of several of our colleagues over there in Stockholm holding that sign that says "Walk a Mile," you know, anthroposophy for Stockholm, Sweden, it really touched my heart. I mean, I felt like an overwhelming feeling of gratitude and love for them to do that, to take time out of their day, and for a group of individuals to go out and walk for anthroposophy because of what we had posted on our Facebook, our Mystica Americana Facebook page. It just felt so loving and so inclusive that they would do that. So the community that we share between ourselves, we're all students of Steiner. We're all doing the best we can within the knowledge that we have and trying to do it the best way. And to feel that that love and that support from your community, from your brothers and sisters who are also part of this that we do here, was just really humbling to me and grateful. And I wanted to express that and say that I'm grateful for everyone that's part of this, that takes time out to participate in this, and that it really means a lot. It means a lot, not just in the spread of the word of Michael and spiritual science and even the MA group, but it means a lot just the heart-to-heart connection between individuals. Because to me, that's what matters most, more than being a member of a group, more than being a participant in an event, but really the hearts touching between individuals and coming together and sharing that moment in that space for the same cause and the same purpose really just humbled me, and I appreciated it so much. And I wanted to express that, not just for them, but for all of us here that are coming together. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Richard. Really appreciate that. It's very exciting to be able to feel connected around the world with this impulse to support the growth of the work. Hazel, would you like to share a few thoughts as the creator of this event?
Well, yeah, this transition time, the times that we have, as one season overlaps into the other, I just love it. I love the festival life. It really opens spiritual vistas for me, and especially this one where the glories of the Summerland flow into the autumn tide, really preparing us for the dark of the year. There's a lot of energy there. This is where the mysteries of our lives between death and rebirth can begin to be revealed. And we'll talk more about that when we get to All Souls. But yeah, just like Richard, I was trying to think what I wanted to say. And, Brother Michael and I, one of our colleagues here, we had a little discussion about the cosmic intelligence the other day. And so that really led me to really want to hone the way to express what that means. So last night, in thinking about our Michaelmas gathering, I found myself pondering again something that we've talked about here, which is the Michael school, when perhaps we experienced the cosmic intelligence as a interactive deed, all those interactive deeds between the zodiac and the planets, connecting our souls, communing with Michael in the sun sphere to the wandering planetary beings and the angelic hierarchies of the fixed stars, our creator gods. And so what occupies me is, how can we live into these interweaving deeds, right? I'm always saying, how can we speak to the stars? And how can we join this conversation? And the new thought that came to me was, what would it be like to think about the cosmic intelligence as a being in itself? A kind of an egregore, which is an esoteric concept of a non-physical entity that arises from our collective thoughts and deeds, from the deeds of the stars. A being that's made up of these interweavings. And so this picture came for me that the cosmic intelligence is part of this, like an emanation of Isis Sophia, part of her pleroma, right? Her fullness, arising in space and time from the dark womb as the mystery of wisdom, which is part of the whole cosmos. A being who was, is, and ever shall be. A form which can appear as the Holy Spirit. So this Isis Sophia bequeathed the leadership of this cosmic intelligence over to Michael, who stands in relationship to her as like a son to a mother. And so this transfer happened when the veil had to fall over the face of the divine feminine. And yeah, we explored this in our offering of the new Isis myth recently. And all of this lived in the old mysteries, right? Where Michael was revered in the past. He had other names like Marduk, and when Tiamat was slain. And I love those old mysteries. When Isis Sophia became the widow, right? When the sun god Osiris took the role of psychopomp, guide to the souls of the dead. And as the widow, Isis Sophia handed over to her son Michael what she had bestowed on the world as the cosmic intelligence. And Michael directed it harmoniously, like the choir master from the sun, right? And so then when the Christ being moved from the sun to become incarnated on the earth, the cosmic intelligence also had to depart from the sun. It had to fall away from the administration of Michael into the head and the hearts of human beings. And all of the souls that are connected with Christ, Sophia, Michael, experienced all of this in the Michael school. And what was taught there was how the character of the old mysteries had to be transformed in light of Christ's deed at the turning point of time into a new mystery, a cosmic Christianity, which was prepared in the past, is informing our present age, and will enlighten our future evolution. And this schooling was brought into a practicum through what Steiner calls the supersensible cultus, where everything that was taught in the school was put into active cosmic imaginations. So we're gonna do a little bit of that today. But what I wanted to bring was this picture of the sun ritual, which was enacted on 3 altars of wisdom, beauty, and strength. And this the Templars knew, and Goethe brought them alive in his fairy tale, as did Steiner in his mystery dramas, and with his esoteric students in his occult lodge called Mystica Aeternium. So our ritual order is based on those original rites, transmitting the new Rosicrucianism. And from these living imaginations, a design is etched into the astral for the redemption through human heart thinking of Isis Sophia and the cosmic intelligence. And on Earth, 100 years ago, through the dedication of the great initiate Rudolf Steiner, a being consisting of cosmic forces and substances was reformed. A new cosmic egregore, a human Sophia, Anthropos Sophia. right? So we can picture a being who works with us to enable humanity to take up the logos through the application of imagination, inspiration, and intuition, which is where our ritual work with Steiner's Mizraim comes in, to transform, quote, a cosmos of wisdom into a cosmos of love. So I don't know if you feel it like I do, but there's this resounding aura surrounding the being of Anthroposophia that is especially strong right now during this 100-year time, this Jubilee time, that's full of potent progressive forces, right? It's the good gods who resolve to work with humanity, of which Michael, holding the countenance of Christ, is the leader. And they are beckoning us forward into a future that wills to imbue humanity with the wisdom of the Sophia, the courage of Michael, and the love of Christ. And I know I'm going on, but I have to just bring in one last thing, because as a matter of fact, today is the autumnal equinox. 111 years ago on the autumnal equinox, Rudolf Steiner performed the ritual of the laying of the foundation stone for the first Goethean. Because, quote, Mercury was in Libra as the evening star. So Libra, right? It's the sign of the scales. And Steiner invoked Mercury, which we can see as occult Venus, as evening star, which actually, if you look in the West right now, folks, we are experiencing this stellar script in our sky right now. And these are holding energies of beauty and harmony, as well as healer and messenger of the gods. So with all that was happening 111 years ago, why did Steiner specifically speak about Mercury in Libra as the evening star? Well, I feel it's important to just bring that in, because as spiritual science tells us, during the old moon phase of our Earth evolution, which is when wisdom came in, the seed was planted into our human astral body for the eventual blossoming of our higher ego, our individualized I. And we can only achieve this if we are able to redeem the cosmic intelligence, right? So that's the good news. But also on Old Moon, remember we had this counter image of the Luciferic effect that came to steal away that possibility. So I see Rudolf Steiner invoking Mercury, occult Venus, at the laying of the foundation stone as a kind of balancing remedy to this peril, a way of laying into the foundation of anthroposophy our highest human potential to fully manifest our I forces. And as an anthroposophical initiative, our mission as Mysteria, Mystica, Americana is about working consciously and conscientiously with the progressive forces to shore up that foundation through a renewal of the esoteric service as given by Rudolf Steiner. Right? What we do is we're building the temple in sacred community to bring the wisdom of spiritual science into a ritual gesture, offering a modern path of initiation, which combines inner development with activity in the world, right? Manifesting these new mysteries of love as revealed in the Rose Cross. So as Richard was saying, we are the North American representative of this international Mizraim alliance. And what we're doing is we're taking up the spiritual content that Steiner brought, which facilitates the Christ impulse into human evolution. So that's a little nutshell. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Hazel. Thank you. Um, uh, Hazel has crafted a text for us today, which we are going to bring forward for you. And in brief, some question was, how do we interact? We will have a breakout session later where we will have an opportunity to explore how the Michaelic spirit might be living in our own world, how the embrace of courage in our own life might be strengthened, and other questions that might arise for us. We will have several opportunities to get up on our feet and do some physical activity, which you are invited to join with us. We'll have some music, and we will have some free flow conversation with the whole group toward the end. So for as much as you can participate, we are so excited and we welcome you here today. Richard, would you like to begin?
Today, on this beautiful autumnal equinox, we come together to explore the festival of Michaelmas. Michaelmas is not just a day, it's a season.
The Michaelmas season is prefigured by the Perseid meteor showers in mid-August.
The cosmic iron strengthening our blood.
Shooting stars throbbing in the human heart.
The ethers pulsing with remediating seeds that counteract the rising sulfur.
A dose of iron to forge the active will.
Extending past the balance of light and dark experienced on this day especially, the autumnal equinox.
The Michaelmas season tells us that the light must now be cultivated within.
The arrival of autumn always signifies a test, whether we are conscious of it or not.
Because of the precession of the equinoxes, now in our time at the autumnal equinox, the sun has moved from the constellation of Libra, the sign of the scales, where human beings are indeed weighed on that stern measure, to the sign of Virgo, the Virgin, who helps us separate the wheat from the chaff.
And as we join her in the harvest, we must be honest and ask ourselves, can I stand in wholeness? For that is what the Virgin represents, purity and wholeness.
Will my spirit harvest sustain me?
Will my inner strength hold up when the support of nature is withdrawn?
Our angel says, "Hold on, little sister. Have strength, little brother."
For in the starry heavens, we witness the power of Michael, preparing the way behind the streams of shooting stars, strengthening our blood with cosmic iron, giving us the courage to go into the dark of the real.
Fortifying us with the courage to cut down anxiety, fear, and hate.
Fortifying an inner process that penetrates our earthly thoughts with world thoughts, that our hearts may begin to have thoughts. Heart thinking.
The mysterious German word Gemüt can translate simply as heart thinking.
The full meaning of Gemüt is something like the mind warmed by a loving heart and stimulated by the soul's imaginative force.
Heart thinking is the modern antidote to the dragon.
The mind warmed by a loving heart and stimulated by the soul's imaginative power. This is Gemüt.
Heart thinking, transforming the whole of our being.
Heart thinking, enthusing our feeling life with reverence.
Heart thinking, stimulating our will.
Heart thinking, the mind warmed by a loving heart and stimulated by the soul's imaginative power.
Opening the window of our soul to let in the spiritual sun. Our Gemüt is the source of the resurrection forces, which enable the human intelligence to unite again with the cosmic intelligence.
When we look at the wheel of the year, we gather insights.
Yes, that's true. We can contemplate Michaelmas as a reversed Easter fest.
The threefold festival of Eastertide reveals first the mystery of death, which is conscious sacrifice, then resurrection, leading to transformation.
Michaelmas, a festival of the future. Now give us first a resurrection of our soul forces through the awakening of our heart thinking, then a conscious death, or the courage to make a mindful sacrifice.
A conscious death, where we willingly give up our sense-bound thinking to achieve self-consciousness and ultimately to sacrifice the selfish self. To apply the resurrection forces gained at Easter is to achieve spirit consciousness, to become spirit anthropos.
To live the Pauline adage, not me, but Christ in me.
Rudolf Steiner, a true Michaelite, tells us that Michael awakens a spiritual fire in such a way that the human soul is able to experience inspiration, not through a mystic twilight, but from a thought-illuminated clarity of soul. Thoughts which strive to grasp the spiritual in our time must proceed from hearts that beat for Michael as the fiery prince of world thoughts.
This quote from the Michael mystery stirs in us the essence of our modern initiation.
If spiritual science is allowed to live in us and extend its transforming influence into our heart space, what enters us as thoughts is then charged into the substance of light, into the purest light of thought.
And in the living enthusiasm of the heart, this light of thought then rays out from our hearts into the macrocosm as light of the redeemed intelligence of Michael.
This light of thought becomes enlivened human thought.
This light-filled thinking can be reunited with the world thoughts of the gods.
This is revealed in the third panel of the foundation stone meditation.
Human soul, you live within the resting head, which from the grounds of eternity unlocks for you world thoughts.
Practice spirit beholding in stillness of thought, where the eternal goals of the gods bestow the light of cosmic being on your own eye for free and active willing.
And you will truly think in human spirit depths.
For the spirit's world thoughts hold sway in cosmic being, imploring light.
Spirits of soul, archai, archangeloi, angeloi.
Let from the depths be entreated what in the heights will be heard speaking.
Per spiritum sanctum revivississimus.
In the spirit's cosmic thoughts, the soul awakens.
This is heard by the spirits of the elements.
In the east, west, north, and south, may human beings hear it.
I find, and I'm continuously finding, that in order to reach into the heights and engage with spirit beholding at all, but especially in a healthy way, I need to find where my roots are and find where my feet are. And there's a really beautiful Michaelmas song that some of you might know. And the first few lines say exactly that. They say, "Firmly on the earth I stand, Michael's sword within my hand." So I'm going to sing it Goes like this. Firmly on the earth I stand, my Kaya's sword within my hand. When I conquer fear, the dragon's chains I tightly bind. My Kyle's light within my mind. When I thrust against the monster's pride, my Kyle is at my side.
Beautiful. Yeah. Let's take a minute to integrate what we just received and pair it with a series of gestures called the constitutional exercise for grounding. I love this one. We did this at the eclipse event. And it really supports us by applying steadfastness to courage in strength of heart, which informs the very core of our being, fueled by love and hope and the confidence of focused thinking, giving us the fortitude for the great work that we're called to take up. So if you want to do this, I invite you to stand up. I'm going to move back here a little bit so you can see me. And it has some gestures. Oh, hello. Actually, this is the constitutional, so we won't need the rod yet. We're going to do that in a little bit. But yeah, so we'll just find ourselves in a place of reverence. And so, I don't know, maybe I'll just do it one time. And if you want to follow along, you can. Maybe we'll do it 3 times. And that way people can join in whenever they feel like it. So that, yeah, I don't feel like I want to talk about the gestures. I think I'm just going to do it and go from there. So, steadfast, I stand in existence. With courage, I tread this path of life. Strength flows into my heart. Love I nurture in the core of my being. Hope I infuse into all my doing. And confidence into all my thinking. These be the companions that guide me through life, upon the earth, throughout the world. Steadfast I stand in existence. With courage I tread this path of life. Strength flows into my heart. Love I nurture in the core of my being. Hope I infuse into all my doing. And confidence into all my thinking. These be the companions that guide me through life, upon the earth, throughout the world.
Hazel, for the 3rd time, can you do a pause, and anyone who would like to can repeat the line after you in between each one?
Okay.
And anyone who wants to unmute could unmute.
Steadfast I stand in existence.
Steadfast.
Stand in
existence.
With courage I tread this path of life.
With courage.
With courage, I
Tread
tread
this
the
path
path of life.
Strength flows into my heart.
strength
Strength goes into my heart.
Love I nurture in the core of my being.
Love.
Love
nurture
I nurture in the
my
core of
being.
my being.
Hope I infuse into all my doing.
Hope.
Hope
I
I infuse into all my doing.
And confidence into
And-
all my thinking.
And
And
confidence
confidence
into
to
all
hold
my thinking.
thinking.
These be the companions that guide me through life.
These
These be the
guide
companions
me
that
through life.
guide me
through life.
through life.
Upon the earth,
On the earth,
Upon the earth,
throughout the world.
Throughout.
Out the
throughout the world.
Yay! Thank you.
Nice.
It takes a little courage to go ahead and unmute and let us experiment and play together. So thank you everyone for joining us and Hazel for leading us on that. There is much work to do in this to do during this season, and this attention to grounding gives us a firm foundation. This year, especially, there is a call to take up Steiner's so-called last address given on the eve of Michaelmas 100 years ago.
In his last address, the last public lecture before he took to his sickbed.
Where Steiner continued to work tirelessly, even while bedridden, there in his humble carpentry shed, overlooking the representative of humanity, which he so lovingly carved with many dedicated workers, and especially his friend and colleague, Edith Marion.
Edith Marion, whose vital forces were also destroyed through the burning of the Goetheanum, the new mystery temple she poured her life forces into. And just like Steiner, her etheric body so intertwined within the wood of the Goetheanum that it brought about her early death.
You and me, we are the leaves of the same tree, growing anew and falling. Side by side, come along for the ride. You and we are the leaves of the same tree, growing anew and falling. Side by side, come along for the ride. You and we are the leaves of the same tree, growing anew and falling. Side by side, come along for the ride. You and we are the leaves of the same tree, growing anew and falling. Side by side, come along for the ride. Side by side, come along for the ride. Side by side, come along for the ride.
Beautiful. In this last address, Steiner saw fit to explore for us the mysteries of karma, reincarnation, and the spiritual economy seen in the individuality known as the prophet Elijah, who went on to incarnate again as John the Baptist, Raphael the painter, and Novelist the poet, ending this last address with the powerful Michael meditation.
So before we hear this inspiring Michael meditation, I wanted to mention, like I did earlier, that in Rudolf Steiner's 3 mystery dramas, the third one in particular, The Guardian of the Threshold, we read something very, very interesting in the stage directions for scene 1.
Quote, "A hall in the prevailing tone of indigo blue, the antechamber of the rooms in which an esoteric lodge carries on its work. In the center, a large door with a curtain. Above it is the rosy cross. On each side of the door, pictures which represent, beginning from the right of the stage, the prophet Elijah, John the Baptist, Raphael, and the poet Novalis."
So I was just reading this the other day in preparation for going to Dornoch to see the mystery dramas over the Holy Nights. I'm so excited. And it really, it jumped out. And I just love these coincidences, which confirm and affirm the connections of the work that we do with the MA.
That's beautiful. There's so many clues and so many dots to connect.
Let's hear the potent words of Rudolf Steiner leading into the Michael meditation from his last address, given 100 years ago.
This work is to let the Michael power and the Michael will penetrate the whole of life.
The Michael power and the Michael will are none other than the Christ will and the Christ power, going before us in order to implant in the right way into the earth the power of the Christ.
If this Michael power is able authentically to overcome all that is of the demon and the dragon, and you know what that is. If you all who have in this way received the light, the Michael thought, have indeed received it with a true and faithful heart and with tender love, and will endeavor to go forward from the Michael mood of this year, so that not only is the Michael thought revealed in your soul, but you are able also to make the Michael thought live in your deeds, in all its strength and all its power. If this is so, then you will be true servants of the Michael thought, worthy helpers of what has now to enter Earth evolution through Anthroposophia and take its place here in the meaning of the Michaelmas festival.
If, in the near future, the Michael thought becomes fully alive in 4 times 12 human beings,
4 times 12 human beings,
If 4 times 12 unselfish leaders arise, having the mood of soul that belongs to the Michael festival, then we can look up to the light, that through the Michael stream and the Michael activity, the light of thought will be shed near and far, now and in the future, among humankind.
Because this is so, my dear friends, I have made the effort today to rise up and speak to you, if only in these few short words. My strength is not sufficient for more today.
May my words speak to your soul, that you receive the Michael thought in the sense of what a faithful follower of Michael may feel when, clothed in the light rays of the sun, Michael appears and points us to that which must now take place.
For it must even be so that this Michael garment, this garment of light, shall become the word of the worlds.
the world of the world, which can transform the logos of the worlds into the logos of humankind.
Therefore, let my words to you today be these.
Springing from powers of the sun, radiant spirit powers blessing all worlds. For Michael's garment of rays, you are predestined by divine thought.
He, the Christ messenger, reveals in you, bearing humankind aloft, the sacred will of worlds. You, O radiant beings of ether worlds, bear the Christ word to the human being.
Thus shall the heralds of Christ appear to the thirsty, waiting souls, to whom your word of light shines forth in cosmic age of spirit anthropos.
You, the disciples of spirit knowledge, take Michael's wisdom beckoning. Take the word of love, of the will of worlds, into your souls aspiring actively.
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 Active heart thinking is the essence of Michaelmas.
Michaelmas is the festival of enlightenment.
Michaelmas is a festival for our time now.
A festival season where we can learn to experience an unfolding of our inner initiative and a free, strong, courageous will. opposing our love of ease.
Yes, it's easy this time of year to want to get cozy on the couch, to snuggle up with the dragon, flipping through channels.
Hypnotized, scrolling, the flashing screen indoctrinating us with a narrative of deadly propaganda.
And so, to counterbalance this, since ancient times, the full name of September 29th is the Feast of the Day of Saint Michael and all the heavenly hosts.
The old legends always preface the story of the battle against the dragon with an enumeration of the 9 angelic realms.
This cosmic view is revealed to our soul during the season, taking us all the way to the thrones at the feet of the Trinity.
And Michael stands before us as the prince and herald of all the hierarchies, that we may look to the angelic choirs, that we may look to our future selves, that we may think what it is to be truly human, here and now, and step by step, to courageously build our own strong and steady rung on the ladder of evolution.
It is our job to strive to complete the never-ending story with the new Michaelic mysteries put forth by Rudolf Steiner, an upright emissary of Michael, teaching us to count the human beings as the 10th hierarchy.
Michael silently bids us to see, as Jacob did, the ascending and descending ladder of which we are a part. This again is the principle of what is called openness to the above, the rising in our thinking, that we may enter into the conversation between heaven and earth, which is conducted in the interweaving of living beings.
Michael is and has been the genius and leader of humanity through all the many transformations of our consciousness.
Rudolf Steiner taught us to view him as the guardian of cosmic intelligence, governing the cosmic thoughts of the hierarchies, which form the divine design of the universe before the beginning of time.
And in this capacity as a sun being, he is the closest servant and trailblazer of the Christ, called the Logos in the Gospel of John, which indicates the sphere of origin where the thinking and speech of God are still one.
The spirit body of the Christ being is the creative, primal thought of God. Thoughts that we can call cosmic intelligence. And Michael, as guardian of the cosmic intelligence, is the herald and helper of the Christ, bearing the Christ being to humanity.
In autumn, Saint Michael, with sword and with shield, passes over meadow and orchard and field. He's on his way to battle against darkness and strife. He is the heavenly warrior, protector of life. The harvest let us gather with Michael's aid. His armor shall not falter, nor shall it fade. And when the corn is cut and the meadows are bare, we'll don Saint Michael's armor and onwards we'll fare. We are Saint Michael's warriors with strong heart and mind. We'll forge our way through darkness, Saint Michael to find. And when he stands in glory, Saint Michael we pray, oh, lead us into battle and show us the way.
We can become spiritual warriors And when we join forces, when two or more are gathered, then will the Christ light shine forth with healing wings.
Michael sees to it that on every level of evolution, the right things are always accomplished, so that finally, this cosmic intelligence can shine forth directly from the human spirit.
Michael, whose name is a question, for it means who is like God, is in our time the countenance of Christ and is preparing to become the countenance of the divinity within the human being.
This goal will be attained when the sunlight of divine thought finds direct entry into human souls. When humanity is no longer a shadow, darkened by head thinking alone. We are all participants in this new Michaelic age.
The being of Anthroposophia could only truly show herself when the Michaelic impulse had united itself on Earth through Rudolf Steiner. And this was accomplished during the Christmas conference. And the greatest task of every anthroposopher today is to take up the Michael thought.
But in reality, how do we do this?
Well, this Michael thought is revealed particularly in Steiner's leading thoughts and in the karmic relationship lectures. We can also work with the foundation stone meditation. When we find Michael in the first class lessons of the Free School of Spiritual Science, and our own work here with the Mystica, Americana. As an avenue of that esoteric stream, we put the Michael thought up on its feet through the rituals that we work in the Mizraim.
Michael, as Archai and Time Spirit, is concerned with the will of thinking. In this impulse, the union of the Grail and Arthur streams can occur.
Yes, the Aristotelians and the Platonists must work together. Rudolf Steiner called this the Michael prophecy in the Karma lectures.
This union must occur within each of us that we may play a decisive role in the great battle of Michael with our current dragon, our own personal dragon, as well as the collective dragon that heaves out forces of hindrance in the world.
And what does this battle look like?
Well, to apply a little spiritual science, humanity takes in nature in three ways: via nutrition, air, and through our senses. The dragon can enter into our existence through what we take into ourselves in these three ways. In other words, our unconscious sense impressions can become food for the dragon. So are we feeding heaven or are we feeding hell? Are we taking in light or are we swallowing darkness?
This is a good question. The dragon is supersensibly in us as a constant developer of his own selfish purposes, so that now, as human beings, we are in constant battle within ourselves.
The dragon in us requires our sense and experiences to nourish it. The dragon avidly eats up what enters us unless we can think of our sense perceptions differently, consciously.
In the 7th lecture of The Manifestations of Karma, Rudolf Steiner gives us a succinct antidote to the adversarial forces, and I quote, "There is only one power which causes Lucifer to retreat, namely, morality. This is something that burns him like the most terrible fire."
And there is no other means by which to counter Ahriman than a power of clear judgment and discernment schooled by spiritual science. With this, Ahriman is stricken with panic, for this is entirely unknown to him, and he has an intense fear of it.
That's a powerful statement. Steiner is giving us the remedy for the two adversarial forces. morality, and discernment.
Yeah, it is. That's it. And we attend the School of Discernment. Our will aligned with an ethical moral life born of heart thinking is in practice that of spiritual science.
Everything in nature asks that the magic held imprisoned within it be released by the way we think of it, freed to re-arise again within us, informed now with the impulses of Christ.
And so, if we are to tame the dragon, we must see and think and experience life with wonder, awe, and reverence.
Yes. And to that aim, it is an interesting question to place ourselves in the world of these energies, we could say, and to create within us a visceral experience of how our physical body, when we eat, when we breathe, how these energies come into our body in habitual patterns. And so what I invite you all to do now is to actually, if you'd like, you can stay seated or you can come up onto your feet. But it's all well and good to sort of get our learned understanding of these concepts. But when they're biologically imprinted into our body, the moment we get up to move, to walk, to talk, to function, the old luciferic harmonic patterns, the fears, the concerns, the hell parts of our beings just habitually get triggered. So one of the things that we can do is to help become aware of these undesirable states and to allow ourselves to express them and then to move from them into this desired state. And if we have one word that we could say, we could take away from today for an action process, it is about the nature of courage. And we will be going more into that. But to begin with, I'm going to invite you all to stand up. And we're going to allow ourselves to sort of physicalize the idea that we were speaking of about first this heart, this thinking heart area. And to imagine within you, taking a nice deep breath as if you can inhale this incredible sunlight of divine thoughts. And as we inhale this sunlight of divine thoughts, maybe opening your body up and moving the body on that inhale, inhaling, and you can think to yourself, I inhale the sunlight of divine thoughts into my heart. And allow now that sunlight to radiate downward, filling your being. And if we can imagine that sunlight coming through the point of what might be the top of a star, inhaling that sunlight through your heart down to your right foot, and inhaling it up to your left arm, and then allowing it to cross, this light to cross over to your right arm, and then streaming down into your left foot, coming back up to your thoughts in your mind through the heart center, feeling yourself as this 5-pointed star, radiant with these sun-filled divine thoughts. And now imagining that below you, a force is weakening you. The legs start to turn in and crumble. It's a sense of fear. Somehow something is pulling us down. Maybe it's these bright summer days that have been luring us out there and playing, but it's a bluish yellow, and it's a fear of the dark that's coming. And now we imagine streaming from above these rays of iron and copper coming into us, streaming down, and a sense of courage from far deep in the core of the earth rising up and permeating us, giving us the light, power, strength to lift the fear, transform the fear, expanding your body, raising up, courage flowing up from the ground, streaming in from above in brilliant red, powerful iron force. You feel the force of Michael streaming into you and giving you, filling you this inner courage. And with that, you can make a sound if you want. Ah,
Ah.
I have
Ah.
courage. And you can bring that, you can take
Courage.
that, bring that into you. You can slay the dragon. Pretend you've got a sword. Now that holding that sword above, receive the iron forces and bring that sword and slice through that dragon. Slice through that dragon of doubt, of fear, of ugliness. And what is revealed through the power of this sword of light is wisdom streaming into you, beauty all around you, and strength abounding, filling you in from the backspace. Imagine the powerful wings of Michael coming out of your shoulder blades, giving you this strength. And anytime this season, anytime at all that you start to feel overwhelmed, you can allow yourself to go into that state of overwhelm and access these powers and bring yourself up into the strength and courage, knowing that these forces are with you. They're in you and around you. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. In The Four Seasons and the Archangels, Rudolf Steiner reminds us, a person who looks out into space and sees the shooting stars should say to themselves, with reverence for the gods, what is happening in the great expanse of space? What is happening in the great expanse of space has its mini counterpart continuously in myself. Out there are the shooting stars, while in every one of my blood corpuscles, iron is taking form. My life is full of shooting stars, miniature shooting stars.
Yes, and this process is continuous, but it is an especially important experience in the transition between summer and autumn.
In the summer, the sulfur processes of the dragon are rightfully at their peak. I have a summer birthday, and I can really experience how human beings are, as Steiner observes, quote, shining like glowworms, saturated with sulfur. Right? And then when autumn approaches, the counterforce of iron comes in from the cosmos to cull the expansion so that we can get grounded again, bringing all of those cosmic forces into our earthly deeds.
Picture it as millions of tiny meteors scintillating inwardly in our blood. This is the connection between the inner self and the universe.
While the sulfur rises in bluish yellow clouds from the lower part of the human being towards the head, the iron forming process rays out from our heads and pours like a stream of meteors into the life of our blood.
This is a picture of the human being at Michaelmas.
And we can learn to make conscious use of these meteoric forces in our blood. We can keep the Michael festival by making it a festival of fearlessness. Yeah, a festival of inner strength and initiative, a festival of selfless self-consciousness. Then, through the effort of our empowered will, we begin to experience the wisdom weaving in the divine will within creation.
We no longer see only the outward appearance of the rose as it blossoms, or the grape on the vine, or the animal passing by, but the spirit which moves within these kingdoms as the will to be.
Can anyone think of a good example of this?
Well, we have the calendar of the soul and the Waldorf child study. Those come to mind. They use imaginative cognition to unveil the essence behind the phenomenon. And the work we do with Dienst here, we bring these spiritual pictures to life within our soul forces and in all worlds.
So when we can begin to penetrate the veil of form, we can commune with these world thoughts of the cosmos, filling our human thoughts with world thoughts. And then through us, Michael enters into our earthly being and works within it. So I always hold this picture that I am consciously holding the sword to protect and to give benediction. I hold the shield to deflect and reflect the Christ sun radiance.
This sun being, Michael, who in former times spoke only from above, must now also be heard from within. The sun nature which we have received from the cosmos can now begin to shine within our human souls.
Yes, we can remember this when autumn begins, when it feels as if outer nature is abandoning us. This is a reminder that humanity has to turn from outer to the inner. For as the sense world dims, the supersensory world can dawn within the human soul.
Michael would have us gather the courage of inner action to cross the threshold of autumn.
Yes, we must look toward the eternal realm of the hierarchies, which replace for us the outer world of the natural kingdoms with an inner resilience, shoring up the truth of our divinity.
With this consciousness, we become aware of the forces of growth and becoming, and of decline and decay in the world will. And this is outlined in Steiner's basic book, How to Know Higher Worlds.
At this time, the flowers wither, fruit and nuts fall from the trees and decompose, leaving their empty husks on the ground. Grains are sorted and stored by the human and animal kingdoms before being sown again in the spring to ensure a new cycle of growth.
This process of harvesting, of decomposition and sorting, also concerns the soul life of the human being. Just as the fruit is separated from the tree, the seed from the fruit, so is the soul separated from the body in sleep, in good meditation, in death. The body is an envelope, it's the wrapping. The soul is the seed that is planted in the soil of the spiritual world.
The human being is a divine fruit, and when we are ripe, we must not fall to the ground like the fruits and seeds of nature. We must journey with consciousness into the spiritual world.
Autumn is the season for that separation of which Hermes Trismegistus speaks. You shall separate the subtle from the gross, gently and with great skill.
To separate the subtle from the gross is to separate the spiritual from the material, and the whole of nature undergoes this process of alchemy at autumntide, in a reciprocal dance with the resurrection.
The fall asks, what in ourselves, what in the reality we all share, needs to be tossed into the compost, recycled, repurposed? What are we harvesting? What will we preserve?
This is what we have to learn from the Michael school: discernment. How to choose, what to choose, how to separate the pure from the impure, the useful from the useless, the harmful from the beneficial.
The absence of clear judgment is the cause of many misfortunes.
Michaelmas is resplendently rich in meaning when we understand that it can bring us the courage to cultivate liberation from doubt.
Cutting away what does not serve opens the way to an experience of the Christ being in the etheric realm, permeating the aura of the earth. Cultivating the virtue of faith facilitates this.
It has become possible for souls aligned with Michael to be engaged in a goal-oriented schooling for initiation, to enter into a closer working with the hierarchies and etheric reappearance of Christ.
This spiritual schooling, which is an initiatory path, informs the creation of new spiritual organs, that the etheric eye of the heart can become an organ of cognition.
Michaelic strength enters in to prepare us for this continuous coming of the Christ in the ether world.
Holding the scales in balance with Michael, we experience also how the Christ sun now shines from the earth.
The earth becomes a sun. Even if we can only think these thoughts tentatively, we can take them into our thinking, shining with the essence of the new Michael festival, an evolving feast of enlightenment.
So, let's put the sword of Michael to use, to bless and bestow, as well as to cut away what does not serve, to separate the wheat from the chaff, to sharpen the mind and protect the heart.
Yes, we need tools. And Steiner gives us a very powerful imagination that encourages us to make a journey to the center of the earth. Maybe we can picture that, right? Where we're called to forge the sword of Michael on this subterranean altar. And then we have to bring that blade back up into the light. So this image comes up for me whenever I do a copper rod eurythmy exercise. I don't know, everybody got one, right? You all have one handy. So I want to share this copper rod exercise for Michaelmas that I learned from Suzanne Zipperlin. Do you remember her, Ultraviolet? She was the curative eurythmist at the Chicago Waldorf School when she spent her formative years there. And such a great help. And I just love working with the copper rods. It really helps us to develop the intuition and in the intelligence of our limbs. These are our organs of will.
But Hazel, why copper?
What do you think, Lisa?
Well, the metal of Venus is a conductor of energy. And it is, it makes the energy, it heightens the warmth of it, building the oxygen in our blood. And the copper is a mineral produced in what has been referred to as massive stars. It is present in the Earth's crust and also within our bodies, giving us an as above, so below connection, while also providing a metabolic vigor to the organs, such as the liver, the kidneys, the heart, the brain. And through the copper rod, we can integrate into our being the geometrical order of the forces of space, allowing the forces of levity to become active and to awaken our backspace through our shoulder blades, where our wings, where we can sense the spiritual world that supports us. And I can post in a little bit, a little more instructions for those of you who don't have a copper rod, how you can actually create a copper rod just by running to your local hardware store and getting some copper piping.
I love it. Richard's got his ready. Okay.
Okay.
It's okay. If you don't have a copper rod, you can just hold your hands parallel. You're basically trying to keep things in a straight line. So just imagine your hands are holding this warm pinkish gold metal, keeping your arms level and straight. And we're going to pass through a series of 7 movements, carving straight and curved lines in space. So let me get ready here. All right. So we start here at the heart. And I'm just going to do it a few times and we can all just do it together. So it's a light touch. Yeah. Go down. If I'm to be a valiant knight, then there's a battle I must fight. And I must choose right from the start, not strength of arm, but strength of heart. My sword shall be of good steel made, and love the keenness of the blade. If I'm to be a valiant knight, then there's a battle I must fight, and I must choose right from the start, not strength of arm, but strength of heart. My sword shall be of good steel made, and love the keenness of the blade. Do we want to do that call and response again? Did that
Yes.
work? Okay.
Yes.
If I'm to be a valiant knight,
If I'm to be
To be a valiant knight,
and there's a battle I must fight,
and there is
and there's a battle I
I
must fight,
and I must choose right from the start,
And I must
and
choose
I
right
must choose right from the start,
not strength of arm,
not strength of
not
arm,
strength of arm,
but strength of heart.
but
but
strength.
strength of heart.
My sword shall be of good steel made,
my sword
My
shall be
sword shall be of good steel made,
and love the keenness of the blade.
And
and
love
love
and love and keenness
blade.
of the blade.
the blade.
All right, thank you.
Oh. These eurythmic copper rod exercises are very powerful, and they really help us cut through, like the sword of Michael. We have been building the picture of Michael with the sword of cosmic iron. Iron, the active metal of Mars. But we can also work with gold to bring out the Christ Son qualities of his countenance.
And as we see with the copper rods, it's important to work at Michaelmas time with the polar metal to iron. So iron associated with Mars, right? Copper turns us to Venus. So we get this marriage, right? Here we experience the harmonious balance between the qualities of Venus, which now holds the property of occult Mercury, which I talked about before, and Mars, held in balance with Michael as the central pillar.
If we were together in person right now, we would each take a turn to ring the iron triangle, to feel the weight of that metal, to let the tone of the strike resonate out, dispersing the iron into the ethers, to activate our limbs.
And this is a good reminder to make conscious use of the meteoric forces in our blood.
And now, dear friends, let us bring a question into our breakout rooms. This is a chance to do a little know thyself exercise, as well as an opportunity to practice the social arts of communication.
And so, here are 2 possible suggested questions for you to ponder. You can choose to work with one or the other in the breakout rooms, knowing that the work continues after we leave this call. We can ask ourselves, 1. What does the battle with the dragon look like in my life? How do the adversarial forces manifest in my life? What does my dance with the devil look like? What is my current struggle?
When we name the dragon, we can tame the dragon.
When we name it, we can tame it, putting those energies to work for the good, to foster inner development and shape human destiny.
On the battlefield of the everyday, we cultivate the skills that allow us to recognize what spiritual science calls our moon karma, those past debts that we have incurred with others.
But if that question feels too raw, the other suggestion is to share a little biography story of when you were able to demonstrate courage.
A time when you stepped up and were able to tame the dragon.
So we will be in the breakout rooms, ideally about 15 minutes. There might be 3 or 4 of you, so 4 to 5 minutes apiece to share. And then after we come back, we will work our way toward wrapping up our event. So here we go. Wow, welcome back, everyone. I sure hope you had a lovely conversation. I am just finding my way back on the script to where we are. Somebody want to pick it up because I'm lost.
Yeah, so we're really, stepping further into this social sphere, right?
Yeah.
That's really the work that we're doing. And it's all about this heartfelt communication. So, let's just take a couple minutes to digest the conversations that we've had. And while we do that, I'd like to invite Ultraviolet to give us an experience of the speech arts. And then later, to close, we'll have, an opportunity to share any impressions you want. I know we're over time, so we'll just get on with this. This is a great piece. I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah, this was a favorite amongst my classmates during the fall tide. Goes like this. Forge me with fire a sword for my smiting, fright to my foes and flames for my fighting. Shape me a shield forceful and fierce, stalwart and shapely to fend against fears. Strike me a spear of speed as a shaft, fearless to fly as a shot to the start. Staunch be my front against fury assailed. Strong be my soul where the feeble have failed.
That was very vitalizing. Thank you, Ultra. It's interesting to think that starting in the last third of the 19th century, the Michael image comes to depend on our goodwill. We must consciously take up the battle with him. The Michael powers can only be taken hold of when our love-filled will, our Gemut, becomes a tool for the divine spiritual powers.
So true. In the spirit realms, Michael's battle with the dragon has been concluded victoriously. It is here on Earth that each of us still has to complete it within ourselves, in alliance with Michael, holding the countenance of the Christ.
Michael's gesture is no longer only that of battle. He raises his hands beckoning.
Our work today is to begin to feel this transformation reflected in Michael's gesture, the hand that was stretched out aggressively in a threatening manner against the enemy forces has changed in our time and is now beckoning.
As guardians of the cosmic intelligence, Michael counts on us to become free human beings that we may return the gesture in kind.
A reminder that heart thinking is the essence of Michaelmas, a festival of enlightenment. It's a wake-up call that reminds us of our divine task to redeem the powers of the dragon. We're not slaying it, we are taming it, by living an ethical, moral life, schooled in the discernment of spiritual science, which applies heart thinking to see and think and experience life with wonder, awe, and reverence.
That inspires me to recite this verse for courage. And readers aside, this is legitimately one of my favorite things that Rudolf Steiner ever shared.
Nice.
And I quote, "We must eradicate from the soul all fear and terror of what approaches us from the future. We must acquire serenity in all feelings and sensations about the future. We must look forward with absolute equanimity to whatever may come. We must think only that whatever comes is given to us by a cosmic guidance full of wisdom. It is part of what we must learn in this age, namely, to live without any security in material existence, and to live with pure trust in the ever-present help of the spiritual world. Truly, nothing else will do if our courage is not to fail us. For this, let us seek awakening to the reality of the Spirit from within ourselves, every morning and every evening."
The virtue of the Michaelmas season corresponds to the constellation Libra, the sign of the balanced scales. Contentment becomes self-composure. Practicing this virtue brings equilibrium between opposites.
Compassion that becomes freedom restores to courtesy its meaning and dignity.
That's a thought-provoking idea to contemplate, especially since courtesy these days has become a mere formality, a habit, an external and hollow obligation, a social gesture born beyond the heart.
Yes, and every criticism which is not at the same time an acknowledgement of potential development is a debasement of the critic.
True courtesy celebrates the higher I of the self and the other, a spiritual union of I beings in free community.
We experience ourselves in the other and show esteem for the spirit common to both of us.
Courtesy transforms the imperfect out of understanding.
Courtesy becomes the tact of the heart.
We can meditate on courtesy and tact of the heart through the imagination of the movement between diastolic and systolic, the inflowing and the outflowing pulse of the human heart.
Divine lemniscate, where harmonious balance is the key. A picture we can cultivate today on the autumnal equinox.
We will close this sacred ether space with the Michaelmas Mood, verse 26 from the Calendar of the Soul by Rudolf Steiner.
I just want to say the first line in German says, Natur, dein mütterliches Sein. And I'm looking at the English translation and it just says, oh nature, or oh natura. But actually that means nature, oh nature, your motherly being. And that isn't in the translation. And since I'm standing next to my mother, I thought I have to say that. So
But what's interesting is I chose to see, I always kind of make my own translation of these things. And I said, oh, Natura, because she is the goddess of nature.
Nice. She's one step ahead of me. So I'm going to read the German, and then my mother will read the English and close us off. Natur, dein mütterliches Sein. Ich trage es in meinem Willenswesen und meines Willens Feuermacht. Sie stählet meines Geistes Triebe, dass sie gebären Selbstgefühl zu tragen mich in mir.
Oh, Natura, I bear you within the essence of my will, and through my will's own fire shall steal my spirit striving, that sense of self springs forth from it to give me to myself.
Well, my dear friends, that concludes our little Michaelmas presentation, and we now we thank you so much for joining us. And if anyone would like to offer any comments, any thoughts you'd like to share, please unmute and let us know, what you'd like to say, and we welcome you to join us and share anything you'd like there. And I did, just in case anyone wants, I posted in the chat that last quote that Dawson read, we must eradicate from the soul all fear and terror, because I think it is a brilliant verse to meditate upon.
It's a very powerful quote, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Very much.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and say that we ran a little bit over and I do have to split. So I just want to thank everyone for a wonderful event, everyone that participated. I love all of these events. Thank you, Hazel, for writing that script, and for everyone just taking the time to be with us here and participating in this. It really means a lot, and I have to go. So all of you have a wonderful day. Great Michaelmas season. I'll see you later.
Thank you, Richard. Dick Halford.
Yes, this is something I don't have exactly in front of me, but something that Karl Koenig said. The night of the 20th century, the night of Michael, is not somebody running around the forest with the swords, but entering into the dark minds of people.
Mm-hmm. I love that, Dick.
Yes.
Yeah. If we can imagine that, receiving that light into the dark minds, dark pockets of our own minds, and to the dark minds of all those who are dwelling in darkness.
I just want to speak up. I'm like Richard. I've got to be in Little Rock here at 4 o'clock, so I'm going to have to run. Thank you so much for doing this. Thank you, Hazel, everyone. Y'all give me courage. I want you to know that.
Thank you, Travis. We're so glad you were able to join us.
See you soon, I hope.
Okay.
Hi, Travis.
Yeah, I really feel like it's important to recognize that the darkness doesn't need to be feared. The darkness is where that's the dark womb of the mother, and that's where so much can happen. So when we can embrace that, and see what wants to be brought into the light, I think our mindset will bring some glory.
Beautiful. Sarah, were you going to say something?
Yeah, thank you, Lisa. I just very briefly wanted to say thank you to all of you for everything you've done. I so much needed the reverence of this ceremony at the end of the day that I've been working with exactly all of this. It's been wonderful. And as I said, and Dawson was there earlier, and Richard in our little breakout room, is that I can already feel these, it's like spiritual muscles for my sleep time that I'm about to go into to process my day that's been really blessed by this time. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
I just want to say thank you to everyone for inviting me to speak today, and thank you, Hazel, for your beautiful work. It was an honor to read it. And about a few months ago, I had this thought that it would be really beautiful to be in a community where we're sharing what we're struggling with. And that happened to come up as an activity today, and I was just so blown away. And it was a real honor to be part of that. So thank you.
Well, come and join us in Texas. We're all going to be together in one room, All Souls time. So come on down to Fort Worth, Dallas, Texas.
And Michael and I are going to try to connect while I'm in LA.
Oh, good. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Blessings, friends.
Blessings, everyone. Thank you.